Family game night got humiliating while my brother read my old failures like a comedy set. He was standing at the end of the table like he'd been handed a microphone, one hand braced on the back of a chair, the other holding his phone up at chest level, screen glowing against his face. The board game box was still open in front of us, pieces scattered like we'd paused mid-turn, but Ryan had already hijacked the room. Okay, he said, laughing before he even started, like he couldn't wait to share the punchline. This one's from 2018. Dropped out after 3 weeks. Said it wasn't the vibe. He looked straight at me. Not the vibe, guys. Mom snorted into her wine. Dad let out that short, forced laugh he does when he wants to keep things light. My aunt, perched on the couch, clapped once like she was at a comedy club. Ryan's girlfriend covered her mouth, eyes sparkling, and said, "Stop," in a voice that didn't mean stop at all. The air felt too hot. My ears rang. I could feel my face doing that thing where it flushes even when I don't want it to, heat crawling on my neck like I was being lit from the inside. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but my throat tightened like it was trying to protect me from making a sound. For a second, I just stared at him, like if I stared hard enough he'd notice he'd crossed a line and stepped back from it on his own. He didn't. He swiped on his phone, eyes flicking across the screen with that confident ease of someone reading notes they've rehearsed. "Oh, this one's my favorite," he announced, and he leaned forward like he was letting everyone in on a secret. 2020, got fired from the cafe after showing up late 3 times in a week, blamed anxiety. He did air quotes around anxiety, and the whole table laughed, too fast, the way people laugh when they sense they're supposed to. I could hear the crunch of chips as someone kept eating through it. I could smell the garlic dip and the cheap wine, and the smoky candle Mum insists on lighting for ambience. My hands were on my lap, fingers curled into my jeans, so tightly my nails pressed crescents into my skin. The game pieces in the middle of the table blurred because my eyes stung, and I hated that too. Hated the way my body betrays me with obviousness. Ryan looked up again, grin wide, waiting for me to perform my role. Laugh along, prove I'm a good sport, make it safe for everyone else. It was meant to be a simple night. That's the lie we always tell ourselves before family gatherings. It was supposed to be one of those cozy, normal evenings Mum loves to brag about. We had a game night. It was so nice, the kind of story she can tell her friends without including the sharp edges. She'd messaged earlier in the week, all enthusiasm. "Game night Friday. Bring snacks. No stress." And then separately texted me, "It'll be good for you. You've been quiet lately." Quiet is her polite word for not making it easy for me to pretend everything is fine. I said yes, because I'm still wired to say yes. Because part of me still wants to believe we can do normal. Because I didn't want Ryan to have another reason to label me as the flaky one who never shows up. So I turned up with a bag of chips and a 6-pack and my stomach already tight, and I walked into the living room with the board games set out like a little stage, and I told myself, just get through it. Smile. Play. Leave early if you need to. Ryan has always been the funny one. That's how my family describes him, as if it's a personality type they're stuck with. Ryan tells stories at dinners. He does impressions. He makes strangers laugh. He's the one Dad brags about at work, the one Mom posts about on Facebook with captions like "so proud of my boy." When we were kids, Ryan could break something and somehow make everyone laugh about it. I could spill a drink, and it would become proof I was careless. Ryan could get into trouble and charm his way out of it. I'd get into trouble, and it would become a lecture about my character. That dynamic never really left. It just changed costumes. The last few years have been messy for me. Not the dramatic, headline messy. Just the kind of messy that piles up in quiet ways until people think it's your whole identity. I tried uni twice and dropped out once because I was depressed, and once because I genuinely didn't know what I was doing and I was too ashamed to admit it. I bounced between jobs. I had a relationship end in a way that cracked something in me. I started therapy. I moved into a tiny place because I couldn't afford anything else. I got better in slow, unglamorous increments, sleeping more, eating more, learning to talk back to the voice in my head that sounds suspiciously like my family. None of that reads as a redemption arc when your relatives only remember the funny parts. To them, my life is a highlight reel of missteps. To Ryan, apparently, it's material. We've been playing for maybe 40 minutes when he started. It wasn't even smooth. It started with a joke about house rules, because Ryan can't resist being the center. All right, he said, stacking the cards like he was a dealer. New rule. We're doing a little halftime show. Mom laughed automatically. Dad looked up from the score pad, mildly amused. What? I asked, half joking, because I assumed he meant a silly dance or some stupid challenge. Ryan reached behind him and pulled out a folded piece of paper, then another. He had a little pile. At first I thought it was some kind of game add-on. Then I saw my name, scribbled in the corner of one page in Ryan's handwriting, and my stomach tightened. Ryan, I said, and my voice went tight before I could soften it. What is that? He grinned like he'd been waiting for me to bite. Relax, he said. It's funny. He looked around the room. Everyone's always walking on eggshells around. He paused, smiling wider. You. So I figured, why not just air it out? Clear the vibe. Clear the vibe. Like my existence creates fog. Mom made a small, warning sound. Ryan, she said, but it had no teeth. It was the same tone she uses when the dog jumps on someone. Mild, performative, immediately forgiven. Dad didn't say anything. He rarely does in moments like this. Dad's thing is silence disguised as neutrality. If he doesn't intervene, he can tell himself he's not choosing sides. But he always ends up choosing the loudest person by default. Ryan's girlfriend, Lacey, laughed and said, "Oh my God, babe," like she was delighted. She'd only been around for a year, and she already had that easy comfort of someone who'd heard family lore enough times to feel entitled to join in. My brother held up his phone. I made a list, he announced, proud, like a little timeline. He tapped the screen and looked at me. Don't worry, I'm not using your real government name from your emo phase. Everyone laughed at that. Everyone. Even Mom did that panicked giggle she does when she's afraid if she doesn't laugh, she'll have to address it. Stop, I said. I said it quietly at first because my instinct is always to de-escalate, to be reasonable, to not be dramatic. Ryan shook his head like I'd made him sad. Nope, he said, because you'll do your little guilt face, and then everyone will tell me I'm a monster for teasing you, and you'll keep doing whatever you're doing. This is tough love. Tough love is what people call cruelty when they want it to sound noble. He read the first one, my dropping out story, and when people laughed, something in him lit up. It was like watching a performer realize the crowd is with them. He moved on quickly, scanning. 2019, he said, spent 3 months finding yourself, which somehow looked a lot like sleeping till 2 p.m. and watching conspiracy documentaries. He threw a look at Dad. Dad chuckled. I mean, Dad said, like he was agreeing in a casual way that made my stomach twist harder. Ryan kept going. Each one was a story I'd told privately at some point, maybe in a moment of vulnerability, maybe because Mom had demanded honesty, maybe because I thought my family might understand if I explained. And each one had been saved, filed, turned into a bullet point. When he hit the cafe firing one, I felt something snap inside me. Not loud, not explosive, just a cold clarity. Because I wasn't fired for being late 3 times for no reason. I was fired because I was having panic attacks in the bathroom and couldn't always get my body to cooperate. I was fired because my manager didn't care. I was fired because I was trying to keep working while my brain was on fire. I told Mom that in tears once, sitting at her kitchen table, and she'd held my hand and said, "We'll get through it." And now she was laughing like it was a cute character flaw. Why are you laughing? I asked Mom, and my voice came out sharper than I meant. Mom froze with her wine glass halfway to her mouth. Her smile flickered, eyes wide. I'm not, she started. Ryan jumped in instantly. See, he said, delighted. This is what I mean. Can't take a joke. It's not a joke, I said, and my voice trembled. It's my life. Ryan shrugged, smug. It's a comedy set, he said. That's what makes it funny. He swiped again. Oh, and here's a classic, he said, eyes bright. 2021. Broke up with Jess because she didn't validate your healing journey. He did a dramatic voice. My healing journey. Lacey snorted. Dad laughed, a short, disbelieving sound. Mom covered her mouth like she was trying not to laugh too hard. I felt my face go numb. Because that breakup wasn't funny. It had been the worst year of my life. Jess had cheated on me. and when I found out, she made it sound like it was because I was too much. I'd crawled into my parents' house with my heart split open and slept in my childhood bed like a ghost. Mom had brought me tea. Dad had told me to move on. Ryan had made a joke about me being high maintenance. I remembered all of it like it was happening again. "Where are you getting this?" I asked Ryan, and my voice sounded strangled. Ryan lifted his phone, grin not even fading. "Family group chat," he said. "Mom tells me everything. Also, you tell everyone everything. So easy." He glanced at Mom like he'd just exposed a secret. Mom's cheeks went red. She opened her mouth like she might protest, then closed it. There it was. Confirmation. The thing I'd suspected, but never had proof of. My private pain was entertainment in a different room. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my fingertips. I could hear the blood in my ears. The room felt too small, the ceiling too low, like the air was heavier. I looked around at everyone's faces, at the way they smiled, at the way they avoided my eyes, at the way they kept laughing like laughter would keep them from feeling guilty, and I realized I was watching a little ritual. This was bonding. This was them reaffirming the family story. Ryan is funny. I am fragile. Mom is long-suffering. Dad is above it all. Everyone knows their lines. Everyone knows what happens if I refuse to play. Ryan read another one, something about me asking to borrow money once, and that was when Ethan finally spoke up. "Dude," he said, voice tight. "Stop." Ryan turned to him, surprised, like he'd forgotten Ethan could have opinions. "Oh, come on," he said. "Don't go soft on me." "It's not soft," Ethan said. "It's gross." Dad's head snapped up. "Hey," Dad warned, that tone aimed at Ethan, not Ryan. The tone that says, "Don't disrupt the hierarchy." Ethan swallowed and looked at me quickly, apologetic. Then his eyes dropped again. His courage had a time limit. Mom whispered, Can we just play the game?" Like the issue was the interruption, not the humiliation. I stood up. The chair legs scraped against the floor, loud enough to cut through the laughter. Everyone went quiet for a second, not out of concern, but out of that tense anticipation. Here comes the overreaction. Ryan's grin widened like he was thrilled. "Here we go," he said. I didn't even pick up my bag right away. I just stood there with my hands hanging at my sides because they were shaking too much to do anything smoothly. "Why are you doing this?" I asked Ryan, and my voice cracked on the last word. He rolled his eyes. "Because you need it," he said. "You live in your little feelings world, and you never grow up. Maybe if you could laugh at yourself, you'd stop being such a problem." Dad sighed like he was exhausted by me. "Sit down," he said, not kindly. "Don't turn this into a thing." "A thing," I repeated, and my laugh came out thin and broken. "He's reading my life like it's stand-up, and I'm turning it into a thing." Mom's eyes filled instantly, not with anger at Ryan, with fear. Fear of conflict. Fear of embarrassment. Fear of having to choose. "Please," she whispered. "Not tonight. We're all having a nice time." Nice. That word always shows up when someone's being hurt. Nice means quiet. Ryan leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, waiting. "Are you going to cry?" he asked lightly. "Because I swear if you cry, Mom's going to start crying, and then we'll all have to do the emotional labor." Something in my chest went ice cold. "You're cruel," I said, and it wasn't yelled. It was just said, like naming the weather. For a second, Ryan's smile faltered. It was the tiniest crack, but it was there. Then he recovered instantly, chuckling. "See?" he said, looking at everyone like he was proving a point. "Can't take it." I turned to Mum then, because the betrayal I felt from Ryan was predictable. The betrayal from Mum was quieter and deeper. "Did you tell him all of that?" I asked. Mum's face crumpled. "I didn't," she started, then swallowed. "I talked to my son," she said, defensive. "He's family." "So am I," I said, and my voice shook hard. "But you don't treat me like I'm family. You treat me like a problem you discuss." Dad pushed his chair back slightly. "Enough," he said, voice hard. "You're being disrespectful." I stared at him. "Disrespectful," I repeated. "He disrespected me for an hour, and you laugh." Dad's jaw tightened. "It was a joke," he snapped louder now. "You've always been too sensitive. This is why nobody knows how to talk to you." There it was. The family script in full. "You're the reason people hurt you." I grabbed my bag then, movements jerky, and slung it over my shoulder. My hands were trembling so much the strap slipped, and I had to adjust it twice. I hated that detail. I hated how my body always shows what I'm feeling before I choose to. Ethan stood halfway, uncertain, eyes darting between us. Oh, he started, then stopped. Ryan held up his phone like a weapon. Wait, he said, smirking. How about one more? It's about how you set boundaries and then break them because you can't handle being alone. Mom inhaled sharply. Even Dad looked mildly uncomfortable for a split second, like maybe that one went too far. Ryan saw that and grinned, enjoying the power. Don't, Ethan said again, firmer this time. Ryan shrugged. What? It's true. I looked at Ethan, at the way he was finally standing, shoulders tense, face pale, and something in me softened for half a second. Then I looked at Ryan, and then at Mom and Dad, and the soft thing turned into a tired, aching grief. I'm leaving, I said. Mom lunged up fast. Please don't, she whispered, voice cracking. People don't mean it. It's you, I said quietly. You mean it. You all mean it. You just don't like the consequences. Dad pointed toward the couch like I was a child. Sit down, he ordered. I shook my head once. No, Ryan laughed. God, you're so dramatic, he said. This is why. I didn't let him finish. I just walked toward the front door. My legs felt shaky, but they moved. I heard Mom calling my name behind me. Heard Dad mutter something like unbelievable. Heard Ryan's laugh fade into an annoyed sigh. The door handle was cold under my palm. When I stepped outside, the night air hit my face sharp and cool, and I realized I'd been holding my breath. I got in my car and sat there for a long minute without turning the engine on. My hand shook on the steering wheel. My chest felt like it was vibrating. I stared at the porch light on my parents' house, like it was a spotlight I'd finally escaped. Through the window, I could see silhouettes moving, could see Ryan pacing like he was still talking, could see Mom hovering with her hands near her face. Nobody followed me out. My phone buzzed before I even drove away. Mom, please come back. He was kidding. Don't do this. Dad, grow up. Stop punishing everyone because you can't take a joke. Ryan, LOL if you leave over that you're proving my point. Ethan, I'm sorry. I tried. Are you okay? I stared at Ethan's text until my eyes blurred because it was the only one that wasn't trying to rewrite reality. I typed back, no, then deleted it. Then typed, I don't know. Then deleted that too. I didn't know how to put what I felt into a message that wouldn't get turned into another bullet point. I drove home with the radio off. The silence in the car felt loud, but it was better than laughter. When I got in my apartment, I kicked my shoes off and sat on the floor by the couch because my legs suddenly didn't want to hold me anymore. My chest hurt. My throat hurt. My face felt hot and empty. I kept hearing Ryan's voice saying emotional labor, like my feelings were unpaid work he resented. I cried, eventually, but it wasn't dramatic sobbing. It was that quiet crying where you press your fist into your mouth so you don't make noise, even though you live alone and nobody can hear you. Old habits. Don't be loud. Don't make it worse. Don't turn it into a thing. Ethan called about 20 minutes later. His voice was low. He's a jerk, he said, like he was testing the words. I don't even care that he's a jerk, I said, and my voice sounded strange, scraped raw. I care that they laughed. Ethan exhaled. Yeah, he admitted. Mom kept laughing like she was trying to keep it light. She tells him everything, I said. The sentence tasted bitter. Ethan was quiet for a second. She does, he admitted. She thinks it helps. Like, she thinks if she tells Ryan stuff, Ryan will look out for you. By humiliating me? I asked, and I couldn't keep the edge out of my voice. I know, Ethan said. I told her it was messed up. And Dad, I asked, even though I already knew the answer. Ethan hesitated. Dad said you're too sensitive, he said softly. That you always make people feel like villains. That line hit me so hard I had to sit back against the couch and close my eyes. Because it was so perfectly backwards. They hurt me, then call me a villain maker for noticing. I don't want to do this anymore, I said, and the words surprised me with how simple they were. Ethan's voice cracked slightly. What do you mean? I mean showing up, I said, taking it, smiling, pretending it's funny. I'm tired. Ethan didn't argue. He just breathed into the phone like he was trying to figure out where to put himself in this. If you go no contact, he said slowly, Mum will lose it. Why is that always the threat? I asked. Mum will cry. Dad will be angry. Ryan will say I'm dramatic. That's always the reason I have to keep swallowing it. Ethan didn't have an answer. After a moment, he said, quietly, I don't want you to disappear. And that made my throat tighten again because Ethan is the only one who's ever said something like that without it being conditional. The next morning, Mum sent a long message, the kind that starts with love and ends with blame. I'm sorry you felt hurt. Ryan didn't mean it. He was trying to lighten the mood. You know how he is. Please don't hold this against us. Family teases. You have to stop taking everything so personally. I stared at, I'm sorry you felt hurt, until I wanted to throw my phone. Because it wasn't an apology. It was a polite way of telling me my feelings were inconvenient. Ryan sent a meme. Literally. A meme about sensitive friends who can't take jokes. Like he was proud. Dad didn't message at all. He never does after conflict. His silence is his punishment. I kept thinking about the way Ryan had his phone set up, like he'd prepared. About how he called the timeline. That part got under my skin worse than the jokes, because it meant he'd sat down somewhere and decided my struggles were entertainment. He'd curated my worst moments like a playlist. And he'd done it in front of people who claimed to love me. When you grow up in a family like mine, you start believing love looks like endurance. Like the proof you belong is how much you can tolerate without leaving. I've spent years trying to be easy so I don't cost anyone anything. I've apologized for crying. I've apologized for being quiet. I've apologized for being unhappy. I've apologized for needing help. And Ryan took all those apologies and turned them into punchlines. The worst part is I know exactly how this will go if I confront it directly. Ryan will say it was a joke. Mum will say I'm overreacting. Dad will say I'm disrespectful. They'll all tell me I'm making it bigger than it is. And then, if I stay away for a while, they'll act like I'm being cruel to them. Like my absence is the harm. Right now, I'm sitting in my apartment with yesterday's clothes still in a heap on the chair and this dull, heavy feeling in my chest that won't move. I keep replaying the moment everyone laughed too fast. That speed is what haunts me. The eagerness. The relief of having a target that isn't them. The way it bonded them. I don't know what I want from this post, honestly. I think I just need someone to tell me I'm not insane for finding it humiliating. I'm not asking for my family to be perfect. I'm asking for the bare minimum. Don't turn my pain into party entertainment. Don't treat my worst years like a comedy set. And if that minimum is too much for them, then maybe the real game night rule I need is this. I don't have to keep showing up to lose.